Good afternoon, everyone. Dear friends, we're very happy to see you. Thank you for joining us for another online study of Secret Doctrine by Helena Petrovna Blavatsky. If you remember, we are studying stanza 3. Stanza 3 consists of 12 shlokas. All of them determine the events sequence. Each shloka reflects a particular period of the evolution of the universe. It's either pralaya, or the beginning of Manvantara, or a turn of a particular element, which is one or united or not. What makes international seminars different from online classes? Online studies or online classes, they always take place in the end of the study of the shlokas that were previously uncovered in the international seminars. It's, in other words, concluding all the information, or we can say it's delving deeper into this study. We are constantly within various energies, and it means that we'll be able to understand better everything. We're studying Shloka 5, and we understand that 5, this number, is responsible for reason. So we can say that the whole Shloka, the whole study, this whole day, will enable us to see this force of the higher reason, of the higher manos, of the higher conscience. And Blavatsky warns us that higher reason, higher conscious, is an element of the state, and it is present everywhere. It's in its latent state, and only the consciousness that has all the components of the existence can find this force. And where can we take these components from? And this Secret Doctrine by Blavatsky enables us to find these components of the existence, to study them, and then this latent state of the consciousness will enable us to make our consciousness alive. Today we're studying stanza 3, shloka 5, and we'd like to welcome all the participants and the interpreters that will help us with the interpreting of this online class. Alex Romanov and Ksenia Persova, thank you for joining us. We'd like to extend our gratitude to the technical support that helps us with the online webinar, with a live stream, with the preparation of the presentations, of visualizations. And we'd like to thank the whole team, the School of Theosophy, that's on a weekly basis participates in the studies, works hard so that together we'll be able to identify some kind of state of our own consciousness and our understanding, so that it will be united. Once our individual understanding gets united with the one, it means that we were able to to achieve the goal. So let's have a look at how everything is going to evolve today. And of course, we're waiting and looking forward to new discoveries, to new words based on the materials that we're going to study today. Please send us your questions in the chat with answers and questions. We'll do our best to answer your questions at the end of the seminar. Shloka 5, stanza 3. So we need to know about the nidanas of this online class, of this day. And I'd like to give the floor to the head of the School of Theosophy, to Mr. Yari. I welcome everyone. So let's begin. And let's start with the thought of the day that was given to us by Blavatsky in the Pearls of the East. The meditative thought of today is the following. Do not rely in your work on somebody who's constantly caught sleeping at sunrise or sunset, because by doing so, he commits a grave sin. And we can notice here immediately the major thought that focuses on the sunrise and the sunset. So we're talking about the sun here, and it's a hint that tells us that at the sunrise everything starts. An idea is going to start evolving at this point of time. And to be more specific, it's the meditative state of the consciousness. It begins at sunrise, and at night, in the evening, we're going to see the conclusion of the meditation. In the morning, we shouldn't sleep, and at the sunset, we shouldn't sleep either. That is the meaning, because by doing so, we can implement the role of a human being. A human being is a thinker, and meditation is a great factor that will enable us to resolve major issues of the existence and improve the quality of life. So we're going to have a look at this meditative thought. We're all in the state of meditation right now, and we are trying to express, or rather give birth to a new thought. And each of us will have our own thought, but collectively, based on these small particles or stars, we are going to collect one united form that will reflect in its points, in its parts, the whole cycle of this day. And the combinations of nidanas will help us with this task. The epoch of fire, the epoch of the mother of the world, is the first nidana. It is the epoch of the beautiful thought, and the nature of this epoch is the birth of the thinker. The thinker is being born. Why? Because there's the necessity to admit our own not knowing, our own lack of knowledge. When we can admit it, we're able to understand with whom we should be. Should we be at this place or at another place? All these questions need answers, and these questions give birth to new human beings. And the Aquarius epoch is symbolized by the blue monkey. And the nature of the blue monkey means that at this epoch, all humanity should see the beauty and find the beauty within themselves, in the meditative process, in creativity, in independent work, in the thought. When human beings give life to their consciousness, independent work becomes the consequence of answering the call. In other words, our heart answers the call, and only then our consciousness, our intellect, is able to hear the beating of the heart. But this heart beats only because of the love to the hierarchy, or the hierarchy. Only then the hand of the leader can, the leading hand can give the opportunity to the student to see various stages that the student goes through when studying, when meditating, when learning new things, things that he previously didn't know. He didn't know about existence, his own existence. He didn't know why he came to this world. And there's a whole range, a whole list of questions that make human beings different from people, make human beings different from animals. And when we overcome these questions, we grow in spirit and our will becomes stronger. This is the epoch of the blue monkey. As a Nidana, this epoch has klesha as well. This klesha of the epoch, let's have a look at that. We need to overcome it together. What is this property? It's greed, avarice. We need to overcome it by communicating with each other. And it doesn't matter what we look like, what clothes we wear. It doesn't matter at all. What matters is to be able to hear a human being, to listen to another person and to be able to be compassionate, to hear and to notice the pain of the other. And being together with everyone is the true happiness, because only then we become brothers and sisters. We get united. And that is what the Aquarius epoch, that is how this epoch is different from the epoch of the it makes it different from other epochs of the Pisces, for example, because the fire of the astral body makes this epoch unique. It's the fiery thought. It's the higher thought that makes it different. It's the clear, the sincere thought that makes the Aquarius epoch unique. In other words, it's the fiery nature that compels human beings and thinkers to create new, beautiful thoughts.
This is the age of the white dragon, and in this age of wisdom, we are under the influence of Saturn. White dragon is under the influence of Saturn, and Saturn symbolizes synthesis or thought forms. It is very important. A thought that has volume can express the wisdom of being. It does so with its clarity. A human is designed in such a way that he has to find ground in the image. An image is what gives definition. It gives concreteness. Concreteness that can be sensed. It can be sensed and felt with all the organs of and all the feelings. Since we are in the age of Aquarius, we mean the astral senses, and we need to be able to perceive them. That's the subtle realm that we are called to unite the three sides of this teaching: the world of fire, the astral world, and the world that's dense. The fourth one is we ourselves, or our consciousness. So three fall into four, or into our understanding. That's when we can accept this great image, an image of being, of true life. When we can see that perfect image in all of its beauty, the striving we have for the quality of life and the beauty of life is only going to increase. This is the month of a white rooster. A white rooster symbolizes the one who's known, the one who got to know the being. It's the Logos. It sips upon the fountain and doesn't drink from this water of life. It knows the essence of things, and out of nothingness, it waits for those who follow him and who can drink from this water of knowledge in the fountain of being, and those who can ascend to that great Logos, to that great teacher. The energy that this rooster is influenced by is Venus. We need to pay attention to the rays that stand behind those nidanas. It is the week of the white mouse. A white mouse has the nature of ether. Ether is karma that's being completed. The mouse symbolizes karma. When the circle is closed, when it's complete, like a rat in a cage that's running, you can stop that movement and instead of a circle, go into a spiral. That means you can go into an evolutionary movement. Escaping that wheel is possible only when you study the laws of karma. That's when your intentions that we learn to identify, when we learn to identify and discern the evolutionary from non-evolutionary, leave behind the non-evolutionary. That's when we can find the completion of karma, the end to that circle, that endless circle. This week gives us an opportunity to stop running in a circle, to go in a circle and ascend. This white mouse is under the influence of indigo, Venus. This factor is quite important. This white mouse is in the indigo direction. It is also blue. It is defined as something that not having mutual involvement, individualization, individuation. Understanding your purpose as a thinker, a human can finally fulfill his function and ascend, led by your higher self or by the thinker. And the day is ruled by a green rabbit. The cross of knowledge of today calls everyone to know, to learn. It is also influenced by Saturn, same as the century. Today is the day of wisdom. Today we can know, we can discover and learn. We can get to know the image of a higher thought that is the overall scheme that we have, the center of the Kala chakra. This is the axis. If we can get to know the whole scheme and the whole world, we can enter the center, and the center is in our heart. There we have the thinker. This is where the hierarchy of light is represented within us. The powers of the mind reside in that center. It is said in the Secret Doctrine, life was in every drop of the ocean of immortality. It was pulsating there. The pulsation of those forces creates cycles, eternity, and then continuation. In that cycle, we have the cycles of time created. It is a differentiation, and it can be called the second differentiation. When the Oeaohoo is revealed, being the son of the space of darkness, being the being of light itself, that's when differentiation starts. We are going to discuss it today in the third Sloka, stanza, in the fifth Shloka, stanza 3. It precedes the second differentiation. I mentioned 6 nidanas, and I also mentioned the 7th one, the central nidana. The 7th nidana is hierarchy. It is our teachers, our parents, the ones who called us to the center, who invited us to work on creating this universe. We're following the rays, we're following our own nidanas. Each of us is walking his own path, walking towards that center. There are many different ways, an endless number of paths that we can take. The world is 8 billion people, and there's the same number of ways to reach that center. We're all being called there. But what is that? That's Oeaohoo in action. It's present in the lives of each of us, in our hearts. And the time has come to open our hearts. Time to lead our own minds out of that prison. But where? Onto that throne. The throne, which is a point in the cosmic egg, in the world egg. Each of us is the carrier of Oeaohoo, the spark. And that spark has its own It is sevenfold, and it's a hierarchy of those higher forces or of the mind. They're represented by 7 classes. The 7th class is the human itself. You can find yourself in the Kala chakra, and each of us is trifold. Our essence is trifold, and we are quaternary in our aspects. The trifold essence of the Himanas or of our mind is being covered by these aspects or these guides. And these guides, they have to be cleansed by our own triad. And this is nothing else than 3 points, which constitute Agni, that is fire. We are all fiery. We have fiery nature. Even though our external shells do not radiate light, but we have to make ourselves shining as stars. And that's why we need to accept that fire and assimilate those centers within us. We also have 7. We have the same 49 here. This is our work on ourselves. Now I'd like to summarize Shloka 5, stanza 3. The root remains, the light remains, the Curds remain, and still Oeaohoo is one. On this plane of existence of spirits and form, in stanza 3, the mind of the Numen in its potency, or being the carrier of that potency, is Oeaohoo as mother and father, as spirit and matter, as spirit and matter. Its state is of pure fire. This is purest fire. And with its eternal breath of fire in its monadic life gives an impulse for the fire to become blazing. In this stanza, the fire is flaming, it is blazing. This is the most important part of this stanza, where we discuss Oeaohoo as something that's given. But the pronunciation is not given. And that pronunciation has the music of spheres in it.
And if we pronounce do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, si, all these musical notes, each ray that is one with its duration of the existence and life in the system of rays. Light has a lot of rays, and the pronunciation, according to Blavatsky, need to have E between R and O sounds. This E enables us to make the whole sequence. The same is true for the 7-ray star. That is not, it is not reflected in reality yet. It is the center of the higher forces, and we can see the movement of the one. It is the consistent movement that is manifested in three. The sun, the orange ray, gets to the violet ray. This is the moon, the space. Then it gets to the red light. This is where the spirit is born. This is the threefold nature. The first threefold nature. Another threefold nature starts from the spirit. But he in Mercury is born, then it gets to the blue, light blue light, which is manifested by Jupiter. And after that, Jupiter starts its movement. It gets to the indigo color. The indigo ray gets to the green ray. So it's the second threefold nature. And these threefold natures can be pronounced as O, here, R. Then we add E sound. And the threefold nature, these threefold natures enable us to pronounce Oeaohoo. We also can add the musical tones to this pronunciation to highlight this link. And as a result, we can say that Oeaohoo is one. The root remains. The light remains. The curds or the clots remain. And still, Oeaohoo is one. Why? The ray symbolized the one single movement. And I'd like to get to a major point of the discussion. I'd like to give you some food for thought. I'd like to explain everything as it is, to explain the whole understanding. But there's danger here, because we risk getting relaxed, but we need to continue to be tense. This is the tension of our thinker within ourselves. And by answering questions, we continue being tense. When you're reading Sloka, don't stop on asking yourselves questions. This will create the necessary tension that will enable you to help with understanding. Thank you so much. Many thanks. I guess we were able to delve into the beauty right now. Stanza Dhyan are so perfect. It's the music of the poem. All that is so perfect that our consciousness cannot stay silent and not respond to this perfect harmony. Teachers, don't miss the reflection of the beauty, otherwise you'll be thousands of centuries behind. And the shloka enables us to go with the time. It helps us to ask and answer questions, and by doing that, being tense and preserving this tension and creating these beautiful patterns. But the music, the sounds, this form, all together, they enable us to see that it is the united light. And today we'll try to look at these components that are part of this beauty of the sound, this phenomenon of the beauty that has an answer in each heart, we can see the resonance of the heart crystal. It is full of light, of rays, and touching upon the outer world gets the reflection. For example, why do we go along the life always taking something? We should go with our lives giving things to others. When this crystal starts radiating, it means that we are giving to others. How can we give things to others? We can see this beautiful harmony. We can see this beauty around ourselves. And this trajectory of the rays that we're going to discuss today will help us understand the comments by Blavatsky. We'll be able to delve into the Sloka so deeply that we'd be able to look at each definition and almost get everything upside down to be able to see the inner state of the form. And today we'll try to do that to all the forms, to all the words that fill this stanza, this term, and we'll be able to see how alive all these forms are. And this eternal canvas with the patterns will come to life. It will be renewed, and it will be renewed with help of all of us. Sloka 5, stanza 3, by Helena Petrovna Blavatsky. The root remains, the light remains, the clots or curds remain, and yet Oeaohoo is one. The root remains. We need to understand what the root is and where it remains. And stanza Dzian, of course, gives us the answer to this question. The root is the depth of the mother. She is the root, growing in the depth of the ocean of life. The root is growing, and the depth of the mother, of the matter, can expand, enlarge, transform, and change. The root, as the cause of the sound, aum, symbolizes the state of the root matter. Aum, A is Atma, U is Buddhi, and M sound is Manas. Atma, Buddhi, and Manas exist on different planes, but ascending from one to the other or assimilating each other until all three merge into one. Root means pure knowledge or sattva, eternal or nitya in Sanskrit, an unconditional reality or sat, satya. This is what the root means. This is the true root of the Trinity, which has its manifestation. The root grows by the manifestation of the trunk, branches, leaves, and fruits. Let's have a look at this thought closer. The trunk is consciousness, which is the foundation for growth. This is the foundation for the further growth. Branches are minds. Consciousness grows by minds, in other words. So everything in cosmos, nature, and man must be mindful. Leaves are thoughts, and thoughts have their beginning, their growth, and their transformation. Leaves have flowering, flourishing period of time. They have powerful growth, movement. Green leaf have growth experience and saturation of wisdom, yellow color, pronounced psychic energy, orange color, and natural passing, falling off, which fertilizes the soil. And the trunk or consciousness and the branches of the mind are strengthened that way. Therefore, thoughts drive evolution. The fruits are actions. Fruits are tools for the growth of human consciousness. It is by actions that a person can give form to or manifest consciousness, mind, and thought. So the first key point is that the root remains. This is the three that stay for further development or differentiation. But how does this development occur? It happens when there arises a pair of opposites. The next key point is the first three, that is the root, cast their shadow or form, and three more appear, or their reflection, and these six are one. What does the light remains mean, and where exactly does it remain? And the next key point is that the light remains, and it is quaternary, or four, which has been created from the three and connected them at the midpoint, which is four. And we are looking right now at the movement in the center of a six-pointed star. The Curds remain. What are clots or Curds? They are the primary differentiation, the first cosmic matter during periodic sleep of the universe in a state so discharged that it is perceptible only by the eye of a perfect bodhisattva. This matter, radiant and cooled, is dispersed across space at the first awakening of cosmic motion. These are seeds of future worlds, stellar matter.
So the Kurds are the primary differentiation. It's the primary matter, and it cannot be shadow since it's the reflection of the absolute. There's full inner reflection, there's true oneness of everything. That is probably the true brotherhood, the idea of evolution of humanity. At first, the cosmic matter forms those clots, and what do we need for matter to transform? It's possible when matter can carry and transform those rays that are reflected on the surface. Matter acquires the quality of radiance when it's ready to reflect absolute light. We can see that on the scheme. That's the first reflection of absolute light on the plane of mind and creativity. It leads us to the key points. Sloka 5 corresponds to the moment when the matter acquires the quality of radiance. 3 in 4 has already happened. The sevenfold single ray has touched it, and now matter is ready to carry and transform this ray into multitude. But we need a foundation that has this power of transformation. And this foundation is the light. The light, the root, and the clumps remain in the light of Oeaohoo, which is cosmic motion, or the force that drives it, which is tacitly accepted as a deity, but is never pronounced. And still, Oeaohoo is one. Moving on, what does it mean to be one? One means inseparability of everything that lives and has its being in active or passive states. On the planes of being, we see a passive state and an active state. In one sense, Oeaohoo is the rootless root of everything, and it's one with Parabrahman. And in another, it's the name of the manifested one life, the eternally existing unity. The Oeaohoo senior is the father and the mother, and Oeaohoo junior as the son and daughter. Father is one with the son, and mother is one with the daughter, and they're all united. It's a symbol of a pair of contradictions, the reason and the outcome, the reason and the shadows. Oeaohoo literally means a spiral wind or a vortex. That's what we use to define incessant and eternal cosmic motion, or rather the force that moves it. And that's the power of the seven rays of Oeaohoo, the inner power of thought. The first seven rays form this highest energy. And all of this exists in space, manifested and unmanifested, in the latent or active state. The rootless root of everything is Oeaohoo. It is the sevenfold root from which everything originates and spreads in a stream of color combinations infinitely. Helena Blavatsky suggests several options on saying it. It can be pronounced as one. In a single pronunciation, it's a white ray, a reflection of the absolute light. Second, in a triple pronunciation, it's the root of this light, or the basis of each world. We see the mind that's instilled in the sphere, the spirit without form, or it is the cause of the seven. And the seventh pronunciation is the first world. One means the inseparability of everything that lives and has its being in an active or passive state. Evolution in the manifestation of one life, the eternal unity, in which the immortal breath does not perish in beings, but manifests itself in turn by mind. We can see the symbol of the mind that has the same reflection on all planes of being. This white ray connects, it is the foundation for it. So Oeaohoo is one in the exhale of the immortal breath. We can see this immortal breath in geometry. Oeaohoo Jr. appears as Manu here, before the birth of each race, or the beginning of a new cycle, giving it a new key node of vibration. The cycle is one great circle of a planet. In particular, the current fourth great circle is the current circle we're in, during which seven races of humanity mature. There are seven races, and they've been not manifested. They're not ripe yet. We are in race 5. Before the start of each new race, a seven-ray star appears. The keynote for each race is its ray. Let's take a look at them. The first race is the sun, or the orange ray. The ray of the sun, psychic primordial energy, the power of life, creativity, a symbol of eternal movement. Moon is the violet ray, a symbol of the space where the ray of the sun descends or touches, and both of them are one. So the first and the second races merged into one, like Atma Buddhi. Third race is Mars, the symbol of the spirit. The third race was very spiritual, Agni, or the third race. Solar Pitris bestowed the true spirituality upon man. The fourth race is Mercury, the yellow ray, or a symbol of wisdom, the light of the divine mind. So the fourth race reached a tremendous level of development. Fifth race is Jupiter, the blue ray, discipleship, teacher, purity of the heart, symbol of lower manas. Sixth race is Venus, indigo ray, symbol of the mind, the higher mind or the higher manas. Seventh race is Saturn, a green ray. It's the synthesis of all 6 rays, the phenomenon of thought in its true form. A person learns to think at the end of the 7th race. Helena Petrovna Blavatsky describes Oeaohoo, the father, mother of the gods, of the ones, in relation to Logos. It's mentioned differently, but it can also be called the word of power. This is the inner opening of that Oeaohoo. It is the root of everything, and it's one with Parabrahman. Parabrahman is the absolute, without equal, an impersonated and nameless principle beyond Brahma. Oeaohoo is the root of pure knowledge of Sattva, Atma Buddhi, Parabrahman, and Mula Prakriti, the unconditional reality of Sat. The one who bathes in the light of Oeaohoo will never be seduced by the veil of Maya. Why? Because in the light of the knowledge of truth, illusion is dispelled. Let's take a look at the planes of creation. This is cosmic matter, and there's differentiation. The light is omnipresent. It's an omnipresent spiritual ray that has now penetrated and fertilized the divine egg, causing cosmic matter to differentiate. In the result, we have first the root, second the light, and third the clots. If we put them together, 1, 2, and 3 give 6. The 6 in 1 is the symbol of Oeaohoo. 7 vowels can be pronounced as 1, 3, or 7 syllables. Or 7 vowels is an eternal manifestation of the universal principle. There can be 7 vowels, like 7 O's, 7 spheres, or 7 worlds. The impulse that reflects the worlds in the same consequence, being a manifestation of the spirit, a connection of the fire to all the bases. We see a spinning trifold in each of them. Is this Amrita, or is it a clot, or 3 powers in 1? We can call it inspirited mind. It becomes one with the cosmic mind and thus becomes immortal, both in the cosmic manifestation and in the human one. In humans, the subtle body is almost completely formed, but the mental body is formed only in a select few. Preservation of consciousness, the complete achievement of conscious existence in all spheres and all shells, is the greatest achievement of an arhat. This is Amrita, or true immortality. So, Amrita. Helena Petrovna Blavatsky says this: He, the highest, extracted from his essence the immortal breath that does not perish in a being, and to this soul of the being, he gave the ahamkara, or self-awareness, of the supreme driver. Then he gave the soul of this human being a mind formed of 3 qualities and 5 organs of external perception. These 3 qualities are mind, consciousness, and will. They correspond to thought, perception, and enlightenment. That's one of the ways of looking at it. The centers of perception, or internal actions, are sight, hearing, smell, taste. In Eastern systems, they're called Indriyas, and they're all present in the astral man. Physically, the molecules are only necessary material intermediaries for the perception of impulses from without and their transmission to the centers. Let's take a look at Indriyas. Indriyas are the sensory organs by which a person perceives the external world. But the external cannot be without the internal. Otherwise, there's no pair of opposites, and there's no movement or development, and therefore life. The inner power of the Indriyas is the mind. That is, one internal Indriya is added to the external in the mind. It analyzes information from the senses and also perceives internal state. The bodily organs serve only as a place of application of the Indriyas. Contact with objects is recognized as one of the conditions for the functioning of Indriyas. Indriyas are not able to perceive themselves, but contribute to the perception of objects. Their very existence is deduced logically. Indriya is the strength or the powers, qualities of the god Indra. That's the epistemology of the ability of sensory cognition, most often vision, hearing, taste, smell, and touch. Sometimes called external Indriyas, Bahya Indriya, in contrast to the manas, the organ of perception of internal states. It's the inner Indriya. External Indriyas correspond to bodily organs, eyes, ears, tongue, nose, and skin. The Sankhya teaching defines 10 Indriyas, 5 external and 5 forces of action. External are sight, hearing, taste, smell, and touch that correspond to action, and five forces of action: articulation, manipulation, movement, defecation, and reproduction. The Sankhya teaching is the only one that doesn't consider the Indriyas as material. Other Indian teachings see their matter in 4 superuniversal elements: Mahabhuta, earth, water, fire, and wind, or air. Buddhists define it as subtle, transparent matter, Buddha Prasada. Indriyas, in the teaching of Niya and Vaisheshika, looking at them, we can define their location. Seeing is
Hearing is a part of Akasha, space, ether enclosed in the auricle, taste, the elements of water as the base of the tongue, olfaction, elements of the earth inside the nasal cavity, touch, elements of the wind scattered both on the skin surface and inside the body. In Vaisheshika, touch is the sensation of temperature. The nature of Indriyas is approached with the criterion like is realized by like, and the quality of its constituent primary element remains as the principle. Indriya of vision, color, light, a quality of fire. Indriya of taste, taste, a quality of water. Indriya of the sense of smell, smell, a quality of earth. Indriya of touch, tactility, a wind quality. Indriya of hearing, sound, an Akasha quality. That is why in Sadhya teaching, we can say it's the only teaching where Indriyas are non-material, because it's the property of Akasha. Indriyas in a Sanskrit term, meaning feelings of functions that connect an individual with the external world. There are 10 Indriyas. 5 Indriyas of action and 5 Indriyas of cognition or perception. 5 Indriyas of cognition, perception are our 5 senses: hearing, or shrotra, touch, tvak, sight, chaksu, taste, rasana, and sense of smell, grana. These Indriyas are also called jnan Indriyas. These are the true pieces of knowledge about the reality. This is what makes Indriyas the connection, the link between the reality and fantasy. The key point based on this material is that the material intermediaries for transmitting impulses act through sight, hearing, smell, or taste. And these are Indriyas. And also Indriyas transmit the impulse of the mind, or inner perception, inner force, through the senses and are material intermediaries. And the senses correspond to the elements. Ether is the carrier of the spirit of the elements: fire, earth, air, and water. These energies combined with each other provide the diversity of the world and the variability of its material and spiritual forms. Ether, the element, unites the elements of water, earth, air, and fire because it's one of their elements. Ether unites all the elements into a single whole, creates an information field of radio frequencies among them. And this space affects us through the senses. Ether is like spirit, quintessence. Its properties are the following: coldness without the element of fire, subtlety without the element of earth, dryness without the element of water, and immobility without the element of air. These qualities are all-encompassing, all-pervading, intangible, unchangeable, and the sign is an inaudible sound of the finest vibrations. If the stone were not alive, it wouldn't be able to disintegrate and emit sparks, according to Blavatsky. And we can draw the following conclusion based on that. Indriyas are the external intermediaries of the light of Oeaohoo, the inner carriers of mind, the external manifestations of the elements through the human senses. Oeaohoo is the power of the impulse, which is given at the beginning of a Manvantara, the circle or race with an individual keynote. As you can see, all the notes start from one point. You're able to see do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, and si. And this is the key point of Oeaohoo. It has one manifestation of all these notes. The manifested prism is a septenary or a man on earth. The source is one, but they will sound as keys really differently. Science denies the inner man and his divine powers, and knowledge and personal experience enable the occultist to assert that such forces are as natural for man as swimming is for fish. It does not depend on the established consciousness of others. He discards past burdens and enters a new world in a new body of consciousness of the future, pure light, and he becomes a reflection of Oeaohoo. Therefore, when one is outside the body and does not depend on the established consciousness of others, there is no time. There are real and conditional time cycles. Cycles are changed by the consciousness of humanity, not nature. And the one life is manifested by a multitude of differentiations, an individual keynote of sound, light, color. These are properties and qualities of the mind, consciousness, and will. These three make it possible to sense the sign of the ether, the inaudible sound of the finest vibrations. The inaudible sound of the ether is Akasha. Akasha is impossible to be seen, but you can feel it from the fourth way. Why? For is absence of understanding of material division. Akasha lies at the root of the manifestation of all sounds, and sound is a particle that has not lost, or rather that has lost its integrity, and it destroys something that turns into something else. It's eternal in the nidanas which it follows and cannot have an end. Sound, if it hasn't been produced on the astral plane beforehand and before that, in Akasha it cannot be produced at all. Akasha is the bridge between primary cells and mental abilities. When the bridge is established, the space begins to sound, and consonance is manifested. Notes according to the planes of existence, beginning with the lowest physical, respectively, do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, and si. We've been able to see the structure of the whole trunk, the unmanifested thin vibrations, and the lowest keynote, which is do. Let's have a look how they correspond with the races. The first race, the orange ray, the sun, do. The second race, the moon, violet ray, ray. The third race, Mars, red ray, mi. The fourth race, Mercury, yellow ray, fa. Race 5, Jupiter, blue ray, sol. Race 6, Venus, indigo ray, la. Race 7, Saturn, green ray, C. An occultist who knows how to tighten human abilities like strings and tune its violin to harmonize with the vibrations of color and sound will extract divine harmony from them. This is the foundation of the cosmic musical range of the eternal divine harmony. And here I would like to comment on the note sol. As a symbol, it corresponds to the fifth principle, the sound of vibrations of the highest manas. In other words, opportunity in life is manifested by mindful actions. The spiritualized mind becomes one with the cosmic mind and becomes immortal, both in the cosmic and human manifestations. Mind cannot be deceived by the veil of Maya. According to Blavatsky, it can even transcend Brahma by striving and love for the absolute truth. Rays and notes, 7 ray star, the sun orange rays do, moon violet rays ray, Mars red rays me, Mercury yellow rays fa, Jupiter blue rays sol, Venus indigo ray la, and Saturn green rays t. If we mix colors, if we take 3 primary colors such as Atma red, Buddhi yellow, we'll get orange. If we mix indigo and yellow, we will get green. If we mix indigo and red, we will get the violet color. The 6 colors in the end mixed with the 3 primary ones. That is what we have, but we don't have the light blue color. According to Blavatsky table, it's the soul note, which is the etheric body, the auric shell, the body of thought, ether, blue fire. Blue, light blue, should be mixed with any color. It's inviolable. Pure mind, manas, pure heart, the thread of antakarana, and denotes soul or sound corresponds to the highest manas, and its color belongs to the lower manas. A note or sound acquires color in the process of sounding, and it becomes a ray that can touch the human organs of perception with its subtlest vibration. As I said, this is the key point because it can touch the human organs of perception with the subtlest vibration. And this is the consonance. And once the psychic energy becomes pure, you can become immortal. And this blue color enables us to become conscious. In humans, the subtle body is almost already formed, but the mental body is formed only by a select few. We can see that we can get we can be able to see only if we have the clear consciousness. Combining these forces and bringing microcosm into harmony with macrocosm will produce a geometric equivalent of the spell Om Mani Padme Hum. Let's look at it closely. Each of the 7 becomes a septenary when the best form for manifestation is ready. These 2 septenaries bring micro and macrocosm, internal and external forces into harmony. This is how Om Mani Padme Hum sounds. It is an indissoluble connection between a person and the universe, transmitted in 7 different ways and having seen different applications to as many planes of thought and action. I am what I am in you, and you are in me. I and you are one. You were before me. What will be after you is me. This great formula acquires the properties of eternity. It is the only thing that is necessary to do is to allow pure energy to act and not obstruct its flow. You need to love the movement of evolution. Each letter M in Om Mani Padme Hum. Om, M1, M, M2, Mani, Padme, M3, Hum, M4, 1 plus 2 equals 3, 3 plus 4 equals 7. Sound, note, number, and color. M follows the first letter, or, Om, as Buddhi. It is the second after Atma, Om, M2, Mani, Buddhi minus 2 and 3, Om, M Mani Padme Hum, 2 plus 3 equals 5, followed by 6 and 7. Om M2 Buddhi Mani M3 or Manas Nan or Mana thinker Matri Padma. There is such phrase in the Secret Doctrine, Matri Padma, or Manas takes the form of Matri 3. Atma Buddhi Manas were reflected and made a step or a pad. A pad means in Sanskrit a foot, or the place where the sole of your foot treads upon. Pad can be translated as a step, or the pad step, transliterated in Sanskrit as pata, meaning a free fall, a flying, an explosion, or transmission. Padme, all the three, they made this step, they felt that they were able to fly. It was a burst, an explosion, and they turned into 6. Padme 6, or lotus, is the achievement of the 6 perfections. 4, attribute of Om Mani Padma is the 4th. This is the internal state of the 6. And Hum, 7, it corresponds with the ray. H is Christ, U is teacher, and M is the link, or Moria, Maitreya. If we consequently combine all the letter sounds of Om Mani Padme Hum, we'll notice 4 letters M in the sound of 14 jewels, or 2 septenaries. In total, 14. 1 plus 4 equals 5. That is the sound of mind. Om Mani Padme Hum. 2, 3, 10, and 14 turn into 1. Let's have a look at how it sounds. What nidanas are carriers of this thought?
Let's take a look at the 4 principles of the Kala Chakra. We're going to see that they're all white. So the first 4 is the white horse, or the sound Om. Next, 14, or Mani, is the white dragon. 24, or Padme, is the white tiger. Padme, Pad, or a step, is the state that corresponds to the step, the place where the Sephiroths are going to be revealed. The white tiger corresponds to the Sephiroth, and it corresponds to Pad, or the step, the place where the Sephiroths are going to have their life. 34, Hum, is the white mouse. 4, 5, 6, and 7 give 13. They are 4, and they provide the sound form of M. This is justice, white horse, or wisdom, white dragon, birth, or white tiger, and karma as white mouse. This is what space sounds like in its crystal white color of the M sound. This is why prior knowledge of music and geometry was mandatory in the Pythagorean school. The key point here is that since color is more differentiated than sound, it's only through color that we can know the true sound of each one. Color is the sevenfold star, the sound of the Oeaohoo. That gave us a chance to know the true sound of each one. Conclusion. Each one from the primordial septenary, the primeval 7 rays forming the manifested logos, is itself septenary, carrying the eternal light of Oeaohoo. The root remains, the light remains, the clouds remain, and yet Oeaohoo is one. eternity and in endless light. Thank you. Thank you so much for watching this sequence that we try to reveal from each of the terms that were given in commentaries of Helena Blavatsky. We try to unite the way it looks, the sound, take a look at correlations, and see how it is connected to humans, to human senses, see the connection with Indriyas, and take a look at the notes and the seven senses. There is a question, O Mani Padme Hum, who have come out with such a secret? What is the secret of that, O Mani Padme Hum? We have a lot of questions. I hope we have some time to answer them. This is the law of laws, the law of eternal life. Helena Blavatsky says that Om Mani Padme Hum was given by Avalokiteshvara. This is the code. And the way it sounds means the liberated one, the liberated mind of the Buddha, or the liberated speech of the Buddha. We can say that Buddha became liberated since Om Mani Padme Hum, given by Avalokiteshvara, is the code of liberation. At the start, we mentioned that to see that beauty, to feel that ray, or to combine, different aspects of being, I thought that it's all united by single code, and that is liberation. When we can liberate any kind of combination with the help of a ray, it connects and it starts to give out. There's another interesting question. Couldn't touch upon it while discussing the Sloka, since we don't have enough time. Thank you for giving us additional questions. What is meant by being under stress? That's the pulsation of eternal life. If we say that we need the foundation and comparing the steps, we have the pod or the foundation, earth, where we need to have grounding, the place for that ray to be revealed, for that impulse to be revealed. I think that's what it means. The place where the ray is being applied. It's the principle of the fifth shloka. That's the steps of Fohat. It defines how the impulse can go through and how that ray can be manifested. Next question is, when does the mystical word of Oeaohoo become action? Thank you for your question. Yes, when you become aware, and when the being becomes aware, that's when being can be manifested consciously. Mysticism is something that's not revealed, that's hidden. The word itself is senior, and when it's revealed, when it's manifested, mysticism gets uncovered, and we can see those 7 rays, the way they're manifested. Another question: what is ultimative discharge? Thank you for studying shlokas very carefully. Thank you for guiding us with your questions. That is one which has no impulse. The word ultimator is some kind of a requirement that's related to a time limitation. The ultimative discharge can mean the waves of space. They define that discharge in space. Oeaohoo provides the first impulse, and it goes just as sound in all directions. And each sphere has its own limitations.
Чуть-чуть дополнил это дело. Вот я сказал, нет импульса.
I want to add that, yes, there is no impulse, and a vacuum is created, a state of vacuum. And that's the place where life can start at once. Ultimativity becomes objectivity, since it reveals the limitations in time. That's what it's related to. That's when impulses emerge. We can call that phase, one phase, and then the next phase. Next question asked by one of our participants. What do curds consist of? Or clots? Clots contain, I would say, the rootless root of that. Those clots are, in fact, the root itself. They're the root of matter. And what is the root of matter? That's the will, mind, and consciousness. Thus, we have the clot defined. It's the union of that will and the mind, yes, in their potency. So the nature of cold, it's the next question. Is it typical only to the non-living nature? We can say that, well, there's no warmth, and warmth being the symbol of life, of course, they remain in a cold state. Being spiritualized and cold is their primary state. Next question. In comments, we see that clots are matter, carrying rays, and that's become cold. So where did cold come from? And where did warmth go? The warmth appears when a ray touches matter. Those forms of vibrations rubbing against each other, they create that warmth. There was none of that before. There was something that united. There was the will that had to be assembled. That which is not manifested is that cold, or that ray nature. And that moment, that nature that has assembled will has those traits. Warmth appears when we have waves, when we have those waves coming.
Moving on to the next question, the sound aum symbolizes root, and root spreads later. But how does the sound aum spread? Momentarily. It's like the sound of silence. There is no distance. It doesn't have any distance, any limits. In a moment, it spreads and sounds in the whole space. The aum sound that symbolizes root, and the root spreads or grows. It means that it's the outside, the external manifestation, and it permeates everything, and the aum sound spreads towards the inside, towards the internal. The root spreads externally, the sound aum spreads internally. That is the difference, I think. The next question. Someone asks, what is the true brotherhood, and how does the manifestation have anything to do with it? I touched upon it, upon this term, this notion, and I made a comparison in the presentation. It is clear that when there is the complete manifestation, reflection of this highest, it is the one, the whole consciousness. If it has 100% of reflection, this is what brotherhood, true brotherhood is. Everything else is not the true brotherhood. That is what I meant. The 100% of reflection of the true, of the whole. Yes, I'd like to add that brotherhood is the focus, and without it, there is no reflection. The next question. Thank you so much. We have a whole variety of questions. It seemed to me that we were able to discuss the whole Sloka, to study the whole Sloka, but there are new questions coming. The internal force of the cosmos, as you said, is the thought. Then what is the internal force of the human beings, and how is it manifested? The internal force, power of the human beings is within the thinker. Once the consciousness awakes, then the thinker starts working, and these powers that are typical of Oeaohoo get manifested. They get phenomenons in the creative manifestation, or I would say it's independent work. Each of us have our own independent work. That is the essence. If the power of the cosmos is the thought, and we know that human beings are the manifestation of the space of the cosmos, and it means that the internal power of human beings is the thought. And without the thinker, there is no power. And how is it manifested? The next question. The internal power of the cosmos is the thought. The internal power of human beings is the thought. And how is it manifested? It is manifested through freedom. Om Mani Padme Hum. It is the task made by Avalokiteshvara. The consciousness becomes free. All these 14 jewels were opened up to us, and that enabled human beings to become united by the thought. How to become the carrier of the eternal light? Vladimir, could you answer this question, please? Well, we need to be in line with the highest light, with high light. We need to accept it, right? If you accept this high light, then it means that you are the carrier of this light. If you have accepted it, you cannot hide it. you will manifest it, you will carry it, you will become the carrier of this light. The system of accepting and giving back, the evolution and involution, the centrifugal forces, all that is reflected in all answers. If we constantly keep these notions in our mind in order to find the true answer, to find this harmony, we need to look at these two opposites and try to connect them. And only then, by doing so, we'll always be in the center of understanding. And also I'd like to add just a final thought. Humans are the light. We need to become humans. We need to be humane. And that's it. Well, it turns out that if we're talking about the universal spirit, it was sent to us by the ocean of consciousness. Then human beings are the creative force of this universal spirit. In other words, in essence, it means that we can make these forms alive by this creative force. We can fill them with spirit. And maybe this is the role that the human evolution plays. And another thought I'd like to share with you is the following. We're talking about the becoming free. Thought is true freedom. How can we define this freedom? We are moving towards this freedom, but how are we thinking? How can we identify that? We are moving outside of ourselves, further and further from ourselves, and the closer we are to overcoming these karmic links, the more abstract all these perceptions become, and the less we need the form as a result. That is the process of getting free from the burden of the form. We're moving further from ourselves to overcome the karmic links, and so that as a result we'll need the form less and less, and the more we'll be able to see the abstract. And just this thought was touched upon last night. I realized that we need to always think about these two aspects. We're moving away from ourselves and we are going from the general to the detailed. When we connect these two categories in our mind, we'll be able to ascend and to look at everything from afar, staying and remaining within this harmony, within this shell of consciousness. Can we move on to the next question? Yes, I think so. How does the light of knowledge appear, and how do the illusions disappear? Illusion disappears or dissolves, if you like, by with the help of love for the true truth. When we're moving towards this truth, we get clean. We clear ourselves with the fire of the space. The thinker within ourselves thinks about the eternal, and like a magnet, it attracts the fire of the space, which connects with the higher thought. And by doing so, it gives us the property of its psychic energy, the property of the fire. This is our psychic energy. And with the help of the psychic energy, we're able to live in the new, to lay out causes for the future in the present. We're constantly in action, we are improving ourselves constantly. And in this sense, we turn into builders, the builders of the universe. The question itself, the light of knowledge, how does it appear? What knowledge do you mean here? There are many types of knowledge. The knowledge about the one, this type of knowledge, gives us the light that dissolves illusion. What is the difference between types of knowledge? All types of knowledge about the form have the end, they can be destroyed. They can be separated. They break up, in other words. The knowledge about the one are continuous. The knowledge about the light is continuous. It is the knowledge about the one. And this light dissolves the truth, or rather the illusion. It is the truth, the true knowledge that dissolves the illusion. Once the spirit awakens and the consciousness awakes, we start striving towards getting closer to other spirits. Human beings need the unity with other spirits. For what? To get rid of illusion and to reach the truth. And there is a great symbolism hidden within it. This is the greatest system. There were various teachings, various circles that studied it. And these circles were able to get united, to understand the truth, to get rid of this illusion. Because the light of knowledge of the one is continuous. It gives us continuity. That is the thought that has just occurred to me. Question related to Indriyas. Someone asks, how do Indriyas help us? A lot has been said about them. What is the key point? How can they be helpful? The most important thing that you need to understand from all I was talking about, the connecting of Oeaohoo, about its reflection, about the perception. Indriyas are not physical organs of sense, of smell. These are not the bodily organs of action. Indriyas are powers. They just act through the physical organs. Today, we talked about Jnana Indriyas. There is the true knowledge, and this is the truth of this perception, the power of this perception. And Karma Indriyas are the powers of action, and they act through sensory and nervous systems. And stanza 3, by the way, is discussed by us in a particular sequence. We were able to see how the nervous system was built, how the immunity was built as well. Indriyas are active in the constructing process. Through Indriyas, we can understand the nervous system of the whole universe, which is in line with the bodily organs of human beings. And I'd like to add and comment on these Indriyas as well. In terms of my understanding, based on all the studies and based on the glossaries related to Indriyas, I'd like to add that the spirit, the fiery nature, is always looking for the impetus, for the impulse. It is the nature of impulses, and impulses get connected with the thought. As a result, They form the psychic energy.
как эта психическая энергия
What is it?
возникает?
How does this psychic energy
Качество
get created? It is the property of the
его
fire.
импульс
Its impetus or impulse
при сочетании с мыслью. А
when
человек
connected with a thought,
И вот если представить
and we know
себе,
that human beings are
что, о чем
thinkers.
человек мыслит,
If we imagine what
то и привлекает его мысль
human beings are thinking
пространственный
about,
огонь,
we
вот это как
attract
раз
the
суть
spatial fire.
вот этих
So this is the essence
сил Индрий.
of the powers of Indriyas.
Он
The
как бы начинает вибрировать.
spirit of the fire starts vibrating with the Indriyas, with these powers,
Вибрации этих
and
сил,
these
согласно
vibrations of these powers, according to the thought,
вызывает вибрационно
cause
органы чувств.
vibrationally,
Вот они как бы импульс органы на органы чувств. На астральное там тело,
cause
мысль
vibrationally
в мозг, а
to
мозг дает вот
start
эту вот вибрацию
to our
психической
bodily
энергии.
organs
Эти
to
все
work,
энергии воздействуют
and the
на
psychic
человека. Как
energy,
раз и ощущения, которые приносит
as a
фауна,
result,
они и есть суть
gives us the
состояния.
feelings that are in their
Качество
essence the property
огня
of the fire,
называется психической энергией.
and this is the psychic energy.
О чем человек мыслит, как мыслит, прикинул огонь,
This
и
is
вдруг этот раз
what we think
сыграло
about, how we think
на всю его
about things,
психику, да,
and it all
восприятие. Вместо того,
reflects
чтобы вот эта психическая
on
энергия
our
его
psychic of
создавала.
perception.
Вот если так для себя представить,
And
то
if we
для
imagine
этого
it this
необходимо
way,
повышать свою
then
психическую энергию.
we'll see that we
То есть
need
в
to
целом они
uplift our
не
psychic energy.
телесного свойства,
Indeed,
эти
it is not
энергии,
of
а они
the
как пламя
bodily
работают.
nature.
Просто
These
материя,
Indriyas
как
work
пламя.
just as flames.
Она вибрирует и
The
вибрирует.
matter
И вот эта
vibrates,
вибрация
and
приносит
this
свои
vibration
для нашего представления жизни.
gives new aspects of our perception of
Ощущения
life,
этой жизни.
of our feelings and perception of life.
Я обратила внимание, что Индрии
I've noticed that Indriyas
это силы Пуруши.
are the powers of Purusha,
Дух, она же не
and
проявляет
Purusha is a
себя,
spirit,
она
and
двигается.
it's not
Сама
manifested.
по себе она не может
It doesn't have power on its own. It
которые
has
показывают
powers to
ей
act that help it get manifested.
субстанция, она
That spiritual essence is as
практически
nothing as the absolute
абсолют, когда начинают действовать эти
when
индрии,
the absolute, but when the Indriyas start acting, that absolute becomes full for that person. So we need to make the absolute full with the powers of Purusha, with Indriyas, with the senses. So the forces of nature are related to Indriyas. They define the structure of the human body. All Indriyas are material, and only one of them is not. The Akashi, the hearing, the subtlest matter that unites in the subtlest form. So there's no emptiness. Indriyas erase the emptiness that's not alive. Next question. It's not related to the Secret Doctrine, and it's not related to the seminar. How can you escape the circle of samsara? Thank you for your question,
Я вот уже
Vladimir Alexeyevich.
да, что сансара,
As I've previously mentioned, samsara is an illusion.
это иллюзия. Такой свирепый зверь огненный, да,
The illusion is held
да,
by a fierce beast, a fiery beast that looks like a tiger. It holds everything.
привычки, предубеждения,
These are
предрассудки
habits, prejudices,
наши. Ну и животная природа
biases,
инстинктом самосохранения,
and our nature,
лишь бы
nature with its instincts, survival instincts,
находится ко мне. То есть вот эти все состояния
caring only about yourself.
нашей инстинктивной природы
Those
не
instinctive
позволяют
states,
выйти из
the
сансары.
force of our
Мы
instinctive
должны
nature, doesn't let us escape the samsara.
очиститься, очистить
And
свое
it's
сознание,
easy to exit.
пути,
Cleanse your consciousness.
сознание позволят нам
Become awake.
действительность этого
Then the
бытия,
forces of
тем самым
Our consciousness will help us see the world. Our senses become more subtle. We can perceive those Indriyas that carry life, the life that we can create. We can create our own conditions, conditions for growth, for advancement, becoming more self-aware in our actions. That is responsible. As soon as we become responsible, we can exit the samsara. The irresponsible cannot get out of the samsara. Thank you.
Вот в чем эта сансара состоит? Вот обычно
What does samsara stand upon?
человек, он ломится в чужие двери какие-то.
A person always tends to knock on someone else's doors, trying to get in. At the same time, forgetting that you need to open your door first, your own door. But the person doesn't see the lock on his door. And that circle is a lock that you can see. It's your own door that you open. So you don't have to knock on other doors. So how can you exit the samsara? The closer you are to escaping that circle of samsara, the easier it becomes to look at the world from the inside and as if from a great height, being able to see everything at once. Seeing everything at once was first those laws, and that view from above was given by Helena Petrovna Blavatsky. That's where the beauty lies. The three planes of being, planes of spirits, when you can see everything at once. All the form, by being in the form, you can't grasp it. The closer you are to the circle of samsara, the more your inner states are connected. Inside is the same space as outside. So we go from general to concrete, and that's why we need to study the Secret Doctrine, so that these combinations of being can be understood, so that we can use them, so that we can step back and take a look from a great height and see everything at once. So we need to escape the shallow waters. A spiritual person, that state of spirituality is a future state of a person when Indriyas fill your inner space with consciousness, with light. That's when the body and the mind unite. Everything is scattered and broken apart. That's what helps you leave those shallow waters. And fish die in shallow waters. So to avoid dying in the shallowness of our own selfhood, of our own limitations, of all those habits of form, we need to step out and make our own being more alive. We can understand our own unique pattern. That Oeaohoo, it transcends everything with its rays. It transcends all space. Each person reacts with his own state of mind to those rays. The most important thing is that we can look from up above and see that we are all the same and that we are all one. That's the true brotherhood, or how that syllable sounds, Aum, in the mind that's liberated from the limits of time, in the mind that becomes immortal. And that's also the sound Om Mani Padme Hum. That's the formula of the liberated mind. That's manifested in all those syllables. Thank you very much for your questions, especially for the ones that were not covered in our presentation. Thank you for noticing those terms and guiding our discussion. We had a chance to cover things that were not covered in the presentation. I think our soul becomes more lively this way. You're getting liberated, from the spots that have no light in them. We try to shine a light on everything, the one light. That's when we can perceive the truth and the illusion will be dispelled. So the conclusion of stanza 3, Sloka 5, is where the form of reason forms and that can dispel any illusion in any further differentiations. Thanks to translators, and we congratulate Alex Romanov with the first and with having a chance to translate the seminar for the first time. The seminar is quite complicated, so we give our thanks to him and congratulate them on reaching the end. Thanks to Ksenia Persova, our permanent translator and interpreter. Thank you for investing not only your technical language, but the pieces of your soul. When we're watching those seminars, we see how you're in the flow and in the light of Oeaohoo. We thank everyone who's been with us. And of course, we're going to mention the important event that awaits us in November 24th, 25th, and 26th. We have an International Theosophical Congress in Moscow. We have a lot of projects to be implemented there. We're going to send invitations, and we have a contest, an international contest for grown-ups and children that will later be collected in a single exhibition that can be seen at the Congress in person. That's one of the projects that we are going to perform. We thank our technical support team for visualizations, for assembling our presentation so that everyone could see how the abstracts can be filled with life. We've all been working on dispelling the illusion, and next time we meet in October 27th, and that's where international speakers from France and India are going to present their presentations. So please join. We're waiting for your questions as always, and not saying goodbye. Let's stay in touch. Thank you very much. Goodbye. The light of wisdom as the light of eternal love. Light and love. Thank you. Thank you so much for your reactions and for your likes. Thank you for your questions. Let's stay in touch. You will see contacts to write us in the end if you want.
On November the 24th to the 26th, the 7th International Theosophical Congress in the city on the Seven Hills, the city of Moscow. The Congress is dedicated to a prominent Russian figure, as well as her invaluable contribution in the development of the global science, culture, and the spiritual growth of our society, namely to Madame Blavatsky. Congress is a significant multifunctional global event. The Secret Doctrine Scientific Symposium, Theosophy and Society Roundtable with the participation of international and Russian scientists, theosophists and researchers. Briefings and meetings with speakers with PhD and Doctor of Science degrees in philosophy, history, economy, pedagogics, culture studies, physics, mathematics, social studies, statistics, biology, arts history, members of the Russian Academy of Sciences, the Writers' Guild and the Union of Russian Artists. Premiere screenings of films and the demonstration of antique locket of Madame Blavatsky. 55 speakers, theosophists, researchers, representatives of culture, arts, science with PhD and Doctor of Science degrees from India, Portugal, the US, Germany, Ukraine, France, Korea, Brazil, Finland, Argentina, England and Russia. International creative competitions, the music contest, the poetry contest, the fine arts contest, Madame Blavatsky's Children I Dedicate. International exhibitions of fine arts, sculptural compositions, cut stones, the Books Expedition, rare international and Russian editions of the Secret Doctrine, original letters, an autograph by Madame Blavatsky. The awards ceremony for the winners of the poetry, music and fine arts contests. Since 2017, the Congress has been held in the cities that won the open competition of Russian cities for the right to host the International Theosophical Congress, Theosophy as the heritage of the great country. Among the participating cities are St. Petersburg, Voronezh, Sochi, Nizhny Novgorod, and Moscow. 600 delegates, 1,500 online participants. Live broadcasts in Russian and English have reached over 7,000 views. Creative competitions have brought together participants from over 500 Russian cities and over 40 countries of the world. Official welcome address are from local authorities, departments of science, education and culture, information and youth policy, the Civic Chamber of the Russian Federation, the State Duma and the Federation Council. The welcome addresses to the delegates of the Congress from non-governmental organizations, theosophic societies and famous academic figures and workers of culture from over 30 countries of the world. Now is the high time we acknowledged the Secret Doctrine by Madame Blavatsky, because it is in line with the scientific discoveries of today's world. I'm very grateful to you for your great work and for the organization. For me it's a great honor. The events of this scale give me goosebumps. For me personally, it was amazing to see how children were able to express themselves through their works. The Congress exceeds my expectations. The organizers always give all their energy to the organization of the Congress, and that makes it easier for people to get involved. Many thanks, we will definitely participate in your competition. I liked the organization of the Congress very much. I'd like to thank you for the impeccable organization of the Congress. I like that serious scientists participate in the Congress. There are great presentations, speeches that are food for thought and make us look for new ways of this thought. I'm impressed by the level of the organization, by the friendly atmosphere. I'm happy that I speak and others understand me, and that I understand what others are talking about. I'm overwhelmed by positive emotions. I liked the organization of the Congress.
So much more and more, and maybe a deep and deep level come out now. I am very happy.
I'd like to express to you my sincere gratitude for the opportunity to publish the book Kalachakra Tantra, based on the Buddhist Tibet canon. As for the Congress, it's important not only for Russia, but for the whole humanity, for all countries of the world. Today it's very important to hold such events, because it's clear that humanity is on its pivotal point. Now everything comes together in one. The significance of the Theosophical Congress cannot be overestimated. Thanks to this Congress, the Theosophy is alive. It's my first Congress. Everything was perfect. To be at such an event makes me really happy. To be among such knowledgeable, wise people is a great event for me. It's my first Congress. Your congresses are a new word in the world of Theosophy. Such congresses bring together researchers of various fields of knowledge, and of course it's a gigantic contribution for the common good. The energy of all people that gather here help us move on and participate in this process. It's an unforgettable experience. Thank you for the opportunity. It's a great event. Thank you, organizers, and thank you for the opportunity to express myself through the creative competition. We've been waiting for the philosophy contest for over 30 years. My deep low bow to the organizers. I'd like to thank the organizers of the Foundation for the light of knowledge, as well as the great teachers of the humanity. The Congress dedicated to Theosophy is just an amazing idea. We invite speakers, scientists, theosophists, researchers of life and works of Madame Blavatsky to participate in the Congress. We invite college students of philosophy, psychology, linguistics, journalism, Middle East studies, humanitarian and natural scientists to participate in the Congress for their training purposes. We invite Moscow citizens and guests of Russia's capital online who can join the online broadcast with simultaneous translation into English and Russian. We're looking forward for your participation in the competitions. We're happy to cooperate with patrons, sponsors, charity organizations, publishers, editors, translators, camera operators and videographers. Become the participants of the major event in 2023. You can learn more and register by clicking the link in the description or by scanning the QR code. Only from the 24th to the 26th of November, the 7th International Theosophical Congress in the City on the Seven Hills, the city of Moscow, the full immersion into the atmosphere of knowledge, discoveries, intellectual and spiritual communication. Moscow, Congress, Blavatsky.